Good morning. It is April 18th and it is Saturday, and I am at Bill's restaurant in Canterbury having breakfast. It's going to be another busy day. Sorry about this. Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry I'm being late posting my videos. It's just been really busy since I got off the ship, and that last day on the ship was really busy, so I'll get caught up. So this is a delightful breakfast, lunch, and dinner place in Canterbury, kind of looking out on the main pedestrian street. It's early, so there's not a lot of people here, which is good because I don't have a ton of time before I get my train. But anyway, I will see you later. Okay, I made it to the train station. So it turns out Canterbury has two stations, East and West. I came into East. I thought I was leaving from East, and I'm not. I'm leaving from Canterbury West. So the woman at the train station was really lovely, and she helped me get a cab. So I'm all set. Well, all right, we made it to London. So we've got the London Eye, we've got Big Ben and Parliament. We're crossing a bridge, and this is not interesting. Okay, there's the Thames. Yeah, we're here. We're in London. I'm excited. All right, I have made it to my hotel. This is the Ampersand in London, and it's one I booked with my American Express Platinum, so it's fancy. But I couldn't get into my room because they were booked. So, or they were booked up, so they're cleaning it. So a little later on today, I'll come back. It is very bright, and I am at the South Kensington Farmers Market that happens on a Saturday. So we're going to check it out because I love my farmers markets. So this is the tube stop that's closest to my hotel, like half a block away, which is great, and I just love the look of it. All right, I am headed for St. James Park, but needed to get Parliament and Big Ben is the clock or the chimes. I don't know what the tower is called. The Tower of Parliament, I guess. I don't know. So there is the entrance to the Churchill War Rooms, but I am going to have lunch. I'm going to find a bench and have lunch in the park. Thank you. And there's the stadium seating down here. I don't know what that's for. Let's see, let's go up. Yeah, I'll find out. So this is my view. I'm on my bench. I'm eating my delicious sausage sandwich. And here's my view. All right, I am in the queue to get into the Churchill War Rooms. I've been wanting to come here ever since I heard about it, so I'm pretty excited. This is the room that Churchill met with his war cabinet. So this is a hallway, and these steps led to a lower level. And they said there were a lot of cots down there. People slept down there. They also said there was risks from flooding of the Thames, which is interesting. And that was a gas valve. The idea was if there was a gas attack, that the air in here would be fresh. I'm not sure how they did it, but the air down here would be fresh. Again, I'm not sure how they did that. And then they mentioned about the flooding from the Thames. A lot of the rooms had steps up, so floodwaters did come in. But I'm not sure how much protection that would have been given them. And this was the weatherboard, just to let people down underneath know what it's like up there. They said during an air raid they would put the word windy, I guess. very windy. All right, and even though this says Winston Churchill, this was the office of his principal secretary. So this was the map room in there, and we're actually going to be able to go in there. But they said that after the war, these rooms were locked up, and so they're kind of exactly as they were when the war ended. And evidently, people thought this was the entrance to Churchill's private toilet, but there was no plumbed toilet down here, so it's a mystery. We're going to find out why it had to be kept locked. And here's a letterboard and a post box. They could mail letters down here. And this is what was behind that door locked. It was a private room that was completely enclosed. They put this window in so we could see. And it's where Churchill would call President Roosevelt. And it was there was a special line installed, transatlantic special system. A guy, Bell Telephone did it. Everything was encrypted. It was totally secure. No one could listen into their conversations. And the name of the system was Sig Sally. Okay. Okay, so these war rooms expanded. This was the original one, and then it expanded and became quite large, as you can see. Okay, so right now I'm in the Churchill Museum, and it's all about Winston Churchill. It's just a huge room. I think these used to be rooms as part of the war rooms, but they made it into a museum. So it's all Winston Churchill all the time. So if you ever wanted to know about Winston Churchill, come to the war rooms. So I have to say, as much information as this had about Winston Churchill, it was kind of a mess. I mean, it's a ton of information, but it's not really organized in any manner that I can see that's logical. Like I said, there's some great stuff here about Churchill, but it's just all over the place. You could spend like multiple hours down here figuring things out. Gentleman I saw guiding a group said, as hard as it might be to believe, that everybody is smiling in this picture. It's the way the men did back then. So these are just pictures of London and Churchill and the war rooms. Okay, I'm continuing in the war rooms. This is ironwork that was put in to support a concrete slab that they laid down so they could expand the war rooms. So it was bomb-proof. And this is where Churchill's typing pool were. And this was the room that Churchill's bodyguards were in. They had this quote from one of them that basically said he was really hard to protect because he wanted to be out when there would be bombing raids. He wanted to be out and watch the bombing raids. And down this hall were all of Churchill's advisors. Oh, sorry about that. This room belonged to his military advisor, Major Desmond Morton. And this was another one of his advisors, Brendan Bracken, Minister of Information. Kind of reminds me of an interior cabin in a cruise ship. And this was Churchill's private dining room with his family. So kind of elegantly furnished. And this was Churchill's wife's bedroom, Clementine, I don't know. And this is the kitchen that was used to prepare meals. So those were racks for guns, and the walls were very thick brick. There was a power plant here called the plant room. So this was their power plant area, and it's also used as an event space. Pretty cool place to have a special event. But they did have signs off, even though they generated their own electricity. They didn't want to be wasteful. So they said there were signs all over telling people to turn the switch off. And because it's kind of there's all kinds of hallways. These were signs telling people the way out to get to George's Street or to the first aid station. So it seemed like it was pretty well organized. They said initially, before it expanded, they had people that were working in the hallways and desks. And here are some of the, well, I guess I'll go to that area. And this is a model of where the war rooms are compared to the building above. It really wasn't bomb-proof, but it was reinforced, but there was never a direct hit, which is good. So they never found out if it would survive a hit or not. So this was, the red spots are the bombs that fell close to the war rooms, but never a direct hit. And this is where Churchill would broadcast over BBC radio to the British public. And they had switchboard operators for phone calls, not encrypted or coded, I guess regular phone calls. And this room was for the typing pool, because everything, every meeting, all the minutes, all decisions, everything had to be typed up before it was sent out. So this room belonged to Sir Edward Bridges, who was the most senior civil servant. He wasn't in the military, and he kind of oversaw all the civil servants. There were a lot of secretaries, typists, etc. And he had a carpet, which is kind of a big deal because a lot of the rooms weren't carpeted. And this was the general headquarters of Home Forces, that is the Army. So this was their general headquarters. They had this room and the next room. So they also had this room. It is like a dungeon down here, and you can see the reinforced beams. There are iron beams above this, and then the slab was poured on top to try to make it bomb-proof, but they never found out if it was. So these were keys that belonged to the camp commandant. He had keys. He lived down here permanently. He had keys to all the rooms. So this tunnel was drilled through concrete that they had poured to keep the bunker safe, or not really bunker, but the war rooms. It took them 3 months in 1984 to drill through it because it was so thick. This is the map room annex. It's a huge map of Europe. And These are the flying bombs that did so much damage to London. This is a record of the flying bombs. And from the map room annex, you got to actually, now we're entering the map room. So we are in the map room. We've got the map of the Pacific. That is a map of, obviously, the entire world and the movements of naval ships and troops and German troops. They said this really was the heartbeat of the war rooms. And when the war was over, they locked the doors and just walked out. So this is all original from World War II, except for the mannequins. They're not real. So I got up closer to the map of the world, and you can see all the pinholes from where convoys were noted with a pin. Wow. And this was Churchill's bedroom. And I was wrong about the BBC broadcasts. He would broadcast it from his desk. Evidently, he had apartments in the building upstairs. He only came down here during the Blitz or when he was working late at night. Well, he only slept down here. He was down here a lot for work, obviously, running a war. All right, well, I am up in my room. I have a feeling it's west-facing because that's closed and there's a lot of sunlight coming through. Have a lovely setup. I was informed the mini fridge is included, so. And then I have a lovely bathroom. Oh, with a duck. Okay, this is very nice. Let's see what's out the window. All right, I have come back to my hotel. I got my room in order. Now I'm down in their little, I don't know, like little bar breakfast area for happy hour. Well, good evening. For those of you who have followed me for a while, for a long time, I am in the infamous blue jammy top. I did remember to sign off tonight. I just kind of stayed in. Once I got back from the war rooms, I don't know. It just really tired me, and I think the last 3 days of just lots and lots and lots of activity and walking, it took its toll. So I'm recharging my battery tonight. So I just ate in the hotel. Anyway, tomorrow is my last full day of my trip. And so we're going to hit the ground running early because I'm going to bed early tonight. So please buy the shoes. Again, they got to be comfortable walking though. Oh, so much walking. Eat the cake, which haven't done lately. Tomorrow's a new day though. And take the trip because the world is a fascinating place, and so are the people who live in it. And you got to meet them. You got to get out. You got to see things. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.